Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, the quest for quality education in Uganda. What are the critical steps that need to be urgently taken to realize it? Despite its critical role in shaping the destiny of the country, the education sector continues to face key challenges. Those involved in steering the sector say that most of these challenges are not insurmountable if government were willing to listen to those people making some key proposals. Most of the challenges that have been identified date back to the colonial era, but there are those that have emerged recently with the introduction of the Universal Education Program. Notable among those challenges is the lack of enough teachers, lack of adequate infrastructure, poor remuneration for teachers, and what many are referring to as an outdated curriculum. Under an initiative dubbed the Quality Educators Project, some stakeholders are trying to help the country realize the goal of having a quality education. This initiative will, however, require the support of other government institutions, including the Ministry of Education and Sports. So tonight we'll look at the initiative to help address some core challenges within the education sector, but also look at other sector-wide challenges, plus proposals that are being made to address them. Our guests tonight, Mr. Gabriel Obbo, he's the head of department of the pre-primary and primary education department at the National Curriculum Development Center. You're most welcome, Mr. Obbo.
Thank you, Edmond.
We're also joined by Ms. Stella Tumwebaze, director of the NGO called Literacy and Adult Basic Education, LABE. You're most welcome, Madam Tumwebaze.
Thank you, Edmond.
Mr. Katandi, your efforts are geared towards ensuring a quality education in this country. In your own analysis, what is the state of education, looking at the different levels of it?
Well, thank you, Edmond, and good evening, listener. Edmond and listener, what we would say as an evaluation of our education system is quite long, and like you have rightly put it, it has been facing quite a number of challenges. For example, what the ministry is now focusing on is to address the quality of education. The quality of education runs from quite a number of aspects. For example, what is the quality of the curriculum? What is the quality of instructional material? What is the quality of the implementers of the curriculum? What is the quality of the managers of the educational activities? And all this, when aggregated together and when addressed fully, will give us what we are now all seeking for as quality education for our country. But of course, not all this can be handled single-handedly by one person or one institution or one organization, and that is why when we work with partners, we get partners addressing different aspects which contribute towards the quality. For example, in addressing the quality of education in the aspect of curriculum, the National Curriculum Development Center has gone ahead to improve upon the quality of the curriculum, and therefore we now look forward towards the quality implementation of that curriculum, and thus addressing the factor of the teacher quality. And this is exactly why we came up with this activity, and this is why we went and worked with development partners like quality educators, which I think my colleague Stella will talk about a little bit more. these factors which impact on the quality of education have for a long time kind of brought us into kind of scarce situation. We think, and you rightly put it, it is not surmountable. We shall probably in the course...
Surmountable is not insurmountable.
Well, it is surmountable.
It is surmountable, go on.
And it is quite surmountable, and they are surmountable by the inputs, by interventions, and by concerted effort in a collaborative manner.
All right. Okay. Madam Stella, could you talk to us about this program, the Quality Education Program?
Thank you, Edmond.
Quality Educators.
Yeah, Quality Educators Project is an initiative by 3 organizations, and these include LABE, it is Literacy and Adult Basic Education, FAWE, and UNATO.
UNATO is the Uganda National Association for Teachers?
Right. With technical support from Ministry of Education and Teacher Education in particular, National Curriculum Development Center, Directorate of Education Standards, and Chambergo University. The project started in 2010 and is trying to respond to some of the existing challenges affecting quality teaching among the teachers, and we are looking at primary school teachers. We are piloting it in 4 districts of northern Uganda, the Greater North, Gulu, Apache, Padel, and Lamlata. And we are looking at primary school teachers. Why we chose these 4 districts as pilot project areas? Because these are some of the districts that were affected by the war. And some of the structures were destroyed, and therefore the quality of education we're getting from these areas is really quite low. That's why we targeted these districts. We are looking at issues of competency profiles. We are trying to address the issues of teacher
competence profiles.
Yes. We are looking at life skills curriculum, how teachers can impart life skills to children. And before that, we also realized that some of the teachers in these areas could not easily, impart the life skills. They thought maybe it is one of the subjects or topics to be taught, but they needed to be guided on how to impart the life skills in the teaching process. And then also looking at promoting mother tongue education, doing advocacy for local languages, because mother tongue is one of the issues that being addressed by National Curriculum Development Center after introducing the new thematic curriculum, teaching children through mother tongue. But all this needed a lot of advocacy so that people can appreciate and embrace it.
We'll talk about that a little more in detail later, but first of all, can you give us a broad overview? When you look at the education system, what are the big challenges?
We are looking at the quality education, and we are looking at issues of children reading at early stages. These are some of the issues affecting primary education. A lot of research have been done, and children cannot read in the first 3 years of education. These are some of the areas we are addressing, and that's why we're putting emphasis on the advocacy for mother tongue, so that can be promoted and children are able to read.
Mother tongue, when children are taught in their mother tongues, they find it easier to read?
Yes, an incentive for them? Yeah, it is very big incentive, because mother tongue, it's a language that is used at home.
Yes.
So when they go to school, it becomes easier. It is they transit easily from home to school.
Right.
Because it's the language they are using at home, as the language they're going to find at school. So they're able to read easily, because they're able to follow when the teachers are instructing them.
And that is not being done at the moment?
It is being done in terms of teaching children using mother tongue, but the advocacy has not been well, structured, and it's not well done.
Okay. So
we thought if we put our foot there, we shall be able to promote it, and then we also change people's attitude, because at the moment, people's attitude towards getting their children instructed through mother tongue is really negative.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bwana Edmond, I think here is a situation of education professionalism, where we are talking about the language in which a child is already familiar For example, when at home you are speaking to this child in whatever language you have chosen to speak, and I would give you an example of a popular language like Dopadola. This child is coming to school. The only new thing you are introducing is for this child to write the words, to write and read the words he has been hearing for the past 6 years.
So it's more inviting for them.
Yes.
Rather than introducing
yes, and it makes them see school learning as very connected to home. That's the first thing. Secondly, it makes it easy because you are verbally you are teaching nothing new, but simply you are introducing the reading of symbols and writing of letters.
Yes.
And this is what most of our parents out there may not understand. They seem to have a lot of difficulties in understanding this. And we are saying now, in the emphasis of mother tongue, to help the child learn faster and easier, we need to use the language that the child is already familiar. So that here is a situation where the child is not hearing the word for the first time. The only new thing that you are introducing is the writing and the reading, or put it the other way around.
So it's a smooth gradient.
It is a smooth gradient to introduce the child into continued education. Right. And I think this is where we have a lot to do with attitude.
Yes, go on.
Most of our parents think that immediately the child drops in school, the child should be taught English.
Even at home.
But you are teaching this child a new language,
yes,
and you are expecting this child to begin reading and writing that new language, which are about 4 aspects in the learning abilities.
Go on.
People who are not professionally sound in that area will want to argue that they want their children to learn English straight, for that is the thing which is new. Fine, it is new, but how many hurdles are you taking this learner into?
It's a big jump.
It's a big jump, and in most cases it frustrates.
The child gets frustrated.
The child gets frustrated, and even when you teach this child English at the school, at home and on the way as they walk back,
it's vernacular.
They are speaking a different language. So the practice is only at school, and so that gives it the limitation. Whereas
broadly that affects people's reading and their interest in reading.
Yeah, and apparently researchers have shown out that this does not quite work.
Really?
For that is one of the challenges we have been facing in our educational system,
right,
where children start with English right from P1, and by the time they reach P6, they can neither read and write English, nor can they do it to the language they are supposed to be familiar.
That's because they were taught English very early.
Yeah.
It was thrust upon them, no preparation, no interest.
And this is it. And this is one of the things that is affecting quality.
All right.
Of course, as my colleague Stella has put it, the quality is also from the implementer, the teacher. Does this teacher know what is expected of him as a teacher? Does this teacher know what would make him an effective teacher in the class? Does this teacher know what he must do to make him that effective teacher that everybody desires? And that's why the quality educators came up with the competency profile.
All right.
The competency profile, which my colleague Stella can talk more about.
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, the quest for quality education in Uganda. What are the critical steps that need to be urgently taken to realize it? Our guests tonight, Mr. Gabriel Obbo Katandi, National Curriculum Development Center, and Ms. Stella Tumwebaze, Director of the Literacy and Adult Basic Education, or LABE. It's an NGO. Madam Stella, he outlined for us 4 issues. The curriculum, we'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum, whether it is suited to a solution as a solutions provider. You mentioned materials and teachers and managers. Talk to us about this document that you're holding in your hands that you say will improve our teachers. How will it do it?
The competency profile or the life skills the competency profile it is going to be used by primary school teachers, and it's going to help them to improve on the way they behave as teachers, what they should exhibit as teachers, the knowledge they should have, how they should behave before the children, behave for the community. So these are issues that we are trying to put across in this book. As teachers, what is expected of them? Some of them are trained and they go to school, but there are issues they may not be able to exhibit simply because maybe they were not trained in. Issues to do with the professionalism.
Yes.
We've had teachers keeping time is one of them. Attending school daily. Why do we find teachers in the marketplace during the school time?
Yes.
Why? That's the lack of professionalism we are talking about. So we expect that such teachers will be able to improve and they are able to deliver the way expected.
I look at some of the points that you raised. Pedagogical knowledge. What do you mean by that?
We are looking at the understanding what they are going to deliver.
Yes.
Do they go to school? Do they enter class when they have prepared enough?
Do they understand what they are teaching?
Do they have a lesson plan? Right. Do they have supportive materials they are going to use to teaching the children? Or they just enter class without any preparation? These are issues we are presenting in this book.
Contemporary knowledge.
Yeah,
they should read the newspaper. Being
updated.
Know what is happening to the minister of the presidency.
Exactly. That's what we expect. So they are able to pass on information to the children. They go to a class when they are well informed.
Right.
Yeah.
Practical skills, mental skills. What are mental skills?
The mental skills, being able to
have a sharp mind.
A sharp mind, being able to, if they are asked a question, they are able to answer, without being
having to look at the textbook.
Go to research,
to see what Ogundi wrote.
Exactly, because that's what they are supposed also to impact the children.
Right.
So they are able to be sharp and alert.
Leadership management skills, life skills.
Life skills.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, maybe I talk about that.
Yes.
Edmond, I think I should have said this a little earlier than I'm saying it, but nevertheless, it's going to be very useful for us. In the quest for improving quality, I've already mentioned that the National Curriculum Development Center went into improving the quality of the curriculum.
Yes.
And among the things that were introduced to improve the quality of education, quality of the curriculum, was to put emphasis on things which were missing in the previous curriculum.
Go on.
And one of the things that was missing, we found out that the children grew up, besides not knowing how to read and write, either in English or their local language, they also didn't have any life skills. For example, children did not have any life skills for negotiation, self-esteem, self-awareness, empathy, and all
empathy, being able to sympathize with those who are
others,
suffering,
and express helping hand and so on, and so on and so forth.
How did you put it in the curriculum?
And therefore, the National Curriculum Development Center, right from P1, introduced life skill as an important aspect in the curriculum. And again, here is a situation where probably the teachers are not very conversant. Some of them used to think that life skill is supposed to be a content. Life skill is not a content in the curriculum.
It's a glue that
holds things together. It is what eventually shows that you as the teacher have your leadership skill, which is already expressed in the competency profile.
So this kind of going to be like a little Bible for every teacher.
If not a Quran.
Both.
Go on, Madam Stella.
So life skills, which is enshrined in the revised curriculum, is one of the aspects that the quality educators picked on to try and provide a hand to support the teachers. And again, as you are calling my colleague Stella, she can speak better, more about the life skill booklet that we intend to place in the hands of the teacher.
Values and attitudes, what do you mean by that, Stella?
Values and attitude. We are looking at, what do people hold very important in their lives?
Yes.
That's what we are trying to promote.
Right.
And that's what we would like to see teachers imparting in these children.
Yes.
So that when they grow up, they are able to value whatever they lay hands on.
Right.
Valuing their lives, valuing their property, valuing even their books. Children use books when they are used up, they throw them up. But these are very important resources. And because they are not trained to value such, so they don't see any value in it. That's why we are trying to impart in teachers so that they are able to help the children as they grow up. As they grow up academically, intellectually, so they also grow up with skills that will help them survive in the future as they grow up as adults.
All right, so it's a good thing you're giving this to the teachers. You want them to do everything here. How about remuneration? Are you going to double their salary? We'll talk about it. Or multiply it by 3. It won't kill anyone.
And I think that is a very interesting question. Now, Edmond, we are now using this microphone.
Yes.
If Radio 1 brought a little bit more beautiful microphone than this,
yes,
does Radio 1 increase your salary?
Go on.
I need that answer from you.
Go on. The questions will come from me tonight. Go on, sir.
Because here is a situation where you are being supported to do your work better.
Right.
And when you are doing your work better, it is up to you to do it to the expectation. And then everybody will see whether it is necessary or you are still keeping us in the quality that we are running away from.
Right. So it's not necessary.
And I think the best thing, if anything to do with salary has to come in here, the teachers need to show that they deserve it. I'm a teacher myself.
Yes.
And I'm saying it as a teacher.
Right.
I need to show that I am equal to what I want.
Right.
Not I am able to say what I want.
Right.
Better I show I am equal to what I want.
Then people raise your
than me saying it verbally.
I think you made it very clear, sir. And of course, there's a study recently that showed that teachers, I'm not sure about this, but they say that they do not necessarily hanker for a high salary. A good working environment is really number one on their demand list. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. We're going for a break. We'll be back.
Just like an uncut diamond is brought to life by unmatched skill and dedication, only our brewmaster holds the secret to crafting a crystal malt lager. Under the exacting international standards at Now Breweries, he uses only the finest, most carefully selected grains of roasted crystal malt and sets in motion the delicate process of releasing their full roast. The result is a world-class beer with a fresher aroma, a richer golden color, and a maltier taste.
Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager. Beyond an ordinary malt.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Is your internet provider turning your world upside down? Broadband Company offers fast and reliable internet solutions. And for the first 100 subscribers this month, we offer zero connection fees. Save up to 400,000. For more information on these offers, call toll-free 0800 222 111.
Broadband Company, more than you expect. John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else.
But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special, you've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. The quest for quality education in Uganda. What are the critical steps that need to be urgently taken to realize it? Our guests tonight, Mr. Gabriel Obbo Katandi, he's the head of department pre-primary and primary education at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC, and Miss Stella Tumwebaze, director of the literacy and adult basic education, LABE. You'll be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. I'll read out the numbers when that time comes. Mr. Katandi, talk to us about the quality of our education. How relevant is it to our day-to-day lives? The president said yesterday was saying some of the courses they teach even at the university, they create people that won't relate to needs.
Yeah, Edmond, I think you will save me about the university, because here we are focusing mainly about primary education.
Yes.
And like I said earlier on at the beginning, I said that the National Curriculum Development Center has now gone into improving the quality of education through improving the quality of the curriculum. I have pointed out an aspect which has brought in as a new aspect in the curriculum, namely the life skills for our children. But also we have mentioned and we have focused at National Curriculum Development Center on the use of local or familiar language to the learner as a medium of instruction, more especially in schools where children are speaking homogeneous language.
Like in the villages.
Like in the villages. But even in the rural area, in the urban area,
yes,
the common language used can be used as a medium of instruction.
The language of the community.
The language of the community,
right,
where the children are coming from. That is what is recommended in that language policy. Then the other thing that is introduced, which is going to kind of help the teacher understand the learner even better, is the issue of continuous assessment. The child must continuously be monitored on the learning progress.
Yes.
And then another focus, which is quite useful in improving the quality, is at lower level, which is primary 1 to primary 3.
Yes.
We think these fellows are not yet ready to compartmentalize knowledge, and therefore familiar themes, or themes using familiar words, or things of familiar, used,
yes,
to teach them, other than the use of subjects. They are not yet ready to say this is science.
Compartmentalized, to draw lines.
Yes.
To fill in boxes.
Yeah, their life is still so general.
Colors and curves.
These are the things they are interested in. They are interested in what helps them to get started in education. Other than what helps them to specialize in education. Right. And therefore, another introduction in the curriculum, still to improve the quality, is the introduction of thematic learning based on themes which are familiar to the children.
Yes.
And these themes, when they are detailed out into learning activities, they are detailed out to kind of address particular learning outcomes.
Yes.
And these learning outcomes are broken down into their nitty-gritties, which we call competencies.
Yes.
So each level must have benchmark competencies.
Yes.
What must a learner of P1 be able to do in areas of knowledge, in area of language, in area of reading, in area of writing, and so on. And all this require the teacher to be sharp enough. All this require the teacher to be committed. All this require the teacher to have the conviction.
Yes.
All this require the teacher to have the confidence. And of course, the teacher must be able to have the value of honesty.
Okay.
Have I particularly helped Edmond, Stella, Gabriel, all to come to the same level as far as this topic is concerned?
Right.
Then move to the next topic, or carry everybody to the next topic.
Right.
And these are the kind of things the National Curriculum Development Center is vying for.
So basically, the NCDC belongs to the government. So basically, you bought this people's program. It's a private sector-led project. The educators, quality educators.
Well, we worked with them. We worked with them, and we developed the activities, and we developed the materials, and we have kind of owned it.
It's a success of the public-private partnership, kind of.
Support. I mean, they are our development partners in education.
Very interesting.
And we have worked together.
Right.
And I think this is where we now want, since we emphasize the policy of local language,
yes,
as a medium of instruction,
yes,
which local language, well, as we shall talk more about, has some other challenges. Our development partners in education came up to our aid and worked something that is going to help us promote the local language use, both as a medium of instruction for lower level and as a subject across the cycle. And I think this is when, with your permission, we can ask my colleague Stella to talk about.
You can also talk to us about attitudes and values and attitudes of teachers. Go on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Katande. Thank you, Edmond. Here with me I have a book which is entitled Implementation Strategy for Advocacy of Local Languages in Uganda.
Yes.
This is one of our deliverables we've been able to achieve as Quality Educators Project in consultation with the steering committee, as I mentioned, comprised of different institutions, Ministry of Education, National Curriculum Development Center, DES, Chambogo. Mr. Katan talked about the thematic curriculum.
Yes.
Where children, and here I'm referring to primary 1 to 3, are instructed through their respective mother tongues.
Yes.
When the thematic curriculum was introduced as a policy to teach children through mother tongue, there was a lot of reaction from different people. People reacted differently, and I'm looking at different categories of stakeholders: the parliament, district language boards, you
actually have district language boards?
Yes, they do exist in the regions.
Right.
Teachers, head teachers, people reacted differently, and they had different observations. Now we needed to come up with a strategy that is going to help us to advocate using local languages, to advocate the use of local languages in schools as medium of instruction.
Right.
So we have come up with a strategy and it's going to use it so that we can influence people's attitudes, especially the parents. The parents, the learners themselves, foundation bodies, private school. Because in private schools, they don't use local languages. They are using English.
Yes.
And children come from private schools and join UPE schools.
Right. And they don't know some of this.
Exactly. So there's a lot of confusion. A child has been trained in P1 in English.
Yes.
Maybe in P2, a child crosses to a UPE school.
Right.
But when this child gets there, it's going to be instructed in local language. So you can see a mix-up. So this is the intention of this book, of this material.
Yes.
We are going to empower people so that they are going out to advocate.
So you talk to the private schools, tell them it's good for their children to learn.
It's very important.
Vernacular.
Exactly. We are going to talk to the parents. We are going to talk to the functional bodies. These schools are founded by different institutions. We also have to influence them to appreciate.
They used to beat us when you spoke vernacular and they heard you. You could speak it. If they don't hear you, are not in trouble. But if they hear you, you are in for punishment. At what level should they start that kind of discipline?
Yeah, but this is a policy now by government that children in P1, P2, P3 have to be instructed through mother tongue.
And they should be encouraged to speak vernacular under the tree shades in the compound of the school.
Exactly, so that they can master the language.
And then P4 onwards, English.
That is transiting now. When they reach P4, they transit. Now they teach them using English, but then mother tongue is retained as a subject. Mr. Katana,
subject of option or compulsory? At what level would it be compulsory?
Yeah, I think I want to thank my colleague Stella for what the elaboration she has just done. Well, we have local or familiar language as a medium of instruction from P1 to P3.
Yes.
But local language remains as a subject within our curriculum, which should be taught from primary 1 to primary 7.
Really?
As a subject, all schools, regardless of location.
That's something you aspire to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's already.
Is it already?
It's already started. Because to tell you the truth is that we have rolled out curriculum which addresses that policy right from primary 1 up to primary 6, and we are rolling out primary 7 just next year, and we expect the primary 7 of next year to sit examinations which are related to our new curriculum.
So PLE next year, there's going to be vernacular papers.
I don't think whether that you are right in that statement. It is not going to be in a local language paper.
Well, I'm saying they'll have a language, for instance, like you do French or English. There'll be a subject called Uganda or.
No, for a start, you don't rush. Some of these things are very.
How long will it take before you have the exams in PLE level?
It's being worked out, and I'm sure it will be pretty soon.
5-10 years?
Don't worry, it will come.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Listeners, this is Spectrum. It's time for you to call in. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. Madam Stella, UPE, how far has it affected some of these things that you're rolling out? Will it affect it, or will it help it or make it harder?
First, we think, and that's what we are doing, is going to improve. It's going to make a contribution. The UPE.
Yes. Go on.
The ongoing implementation of UPE.
Yes.
We are talking about mother tongue. We are promoting mother tongue in UPE schools.
Let's take a caller on the line. Spectrum, hello? Hello? Okay. We have a caller on the line. Talk to us, my friend. Your name and where are you calling from? Spectrum, hello?
Edmond, good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Yeah, thanks for hosting your guests in the studio.
Yes.
Talking about education, especially at infancy level. I know your topic tonight is not very entertaining to many people, but one, primary education and thereabout is not really priority of government. And your guests in the studio are painting a positive picture. Recently, the teachers at that level have complained. They try to lay down their tools, and you cannot tell me or tell any Ugandan that whatever discussion they are giving you will yield results. After all, many of those who take their kids to those UPE schools are really needy. And why are they needy? Because of the government policies hiddenly putting people at a disadvantage. Have a good evening.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
This is Dominic.
Dominic, yes.
Educational Reform for Progress. I'm the Executive Chief Executive Officer. You are talking about quality education relevant to our economy. To me, to us who are advocating the reform relevant, the education reform relevant to our economy, we are saying no. Why? You use the very people, the policy makers who are advocating for that system of the local languages. You take your children to private schools. What does that mean? Which means maybe there is a ploy to divide our society, whereby the rural child is not interconnected anywhere with another child. Take an example. What if we advocated for production school skills amongst our children and embed it in our curriculum, national curricula? Take an example. If you take a sample survey of all the candidates, that is P7, SC4 and 6, senior 6, who have sat this year's national examination, nobody can even produce an envelope. No one. And we are talking about local languages, we are talking about quality education. What quality education are you giving to our children, to our nation, to our society, younger children, when you cannot produce anything? The economy today, the world over, is for production. Not this the quality education where you teach our children how many baby rivers in UK, the first Muzungu to make the kabaka in Ruviri. Now we are talking about quality education. You guys, you quality policy makers, what are we on? Where are we heading to? This is a full Sunday to our society.
Passion there. Spectrum. Hello.
Hello.
Can I ask you to switch off your radio or walk away from it? Yes?
Yes.
Your radio is giving us feedback. Can you switch it off or walk away from it?
Hello.
Hello, your name? Your radio, please. If you call in, when you call in, please switch off your radio or go far from it. Yes, your name?
Hello?
Hello, madam?
Yes.
Your name, madam?
My name is Mary.
Your name is?
Mary.
Mary, can you switch off your radio or walk far from it?
Okay, actually I'm driving.
Okay.
Let me switch it off.
All right.
Now, I want to thank the gentleman. And then my concern is the thematic curriculum is almost, I think it's not doing good work because first of all, we have children who speak different languages. They are all in the city. And the schools, what the schools are doing is to subject them to Uganda because now that is the tongue that is spoken in the central here. And the child, because it's not being oriented in speaking Uganda, because the child is speaking another language, and the child performs very poorly, and that affects their academic progress. What is the Curriculum Development Center planning for the children of that time? Thank you.
Spectrum, hello. Our final caller.
Hello.
Yes, sir, your name?
Hello.
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 Yes, sir, your name?
This is Spectrum.
Yes, sir, this is Spectrum.
My name is Sonsa Joseph. I'm a primary teacher in the Katiyame Primary School. Okay, to begin with, myself, I feel contented with the thematic curriculum. It would be good because actually it is possible. The second language after the first one has been fully mastered by the kids. Secondly, there are a lot of studies down in a primary school. The methods which are used in implementing of this curriculum are not the same. In fact, the teachers, what I would call gambling. Each teacher, the way they are.
Pachiri. Anyhow, I think we got a bit of it. We would have loved to get everything, but let's get the responses from what we have so far.
Yeah.
Mr. Katandi.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank all the callers who have made their call and their contribution. This is a great indication that people are listening, and people are concerned, and people are getting involved. And I want to thank the primary school teacher for his contribution about being contented about what the National Curriculum Development Center is doing. And I think this shows the professionalism we have been talking about. Sometimes people are making comments, maybe because there is something lacking in what they are supposed to have understood. Now you can see the teacher who understands the intentions, the motives, and the products that National Curriculum Development Center and the development partners, what they are putting out to them to support them in the verge of getting quality education, seem to have understood. But you definitely find, Mary is appreciating that National Curriculum Development Center is doing a good job. But again, at the same time, she is not patient enough, probably, to get the details of what is going on at implementation level. Because surely, if the child cannot speak the language of the area where you have taken the child, then the first person who is wrong is probably not the child, not the teacher, not the school, but the parent. Yes. The parent took the child to a wrong school.
They've taken them to the village.
Okay. If Mary has no any other alternative to take the child, then Mary should be prepared to work with the teachers in that school to help the child learn what the majority of the children are learning. And it will not take long before Mary's child catches up. You will excuse me, most of the people I couldn't get the names, but I will refer to what I had as their questions or their comments. Nobody can produce anything even after going through the primary school cycle.
This is
exactly what we are talking about here. We are speaking about the same thing this gentleman was speaking about, but probably using different words and using different attitude. We are saying at National Curriculum Development Center, this is what we want to get away from the fact that the child goes to school and cannot do anything, to the fact that the child goes to school and can do something.
Yes.
And that is why we are strengthening and revitalizing the skills in our curriculum. This is exactly the same parent who will not want to see his child doing technical art and technology.
This is going to yet it's people like you. You take your children, you preach the gospel.
My children are in a primary school just next to my home in Namasoba. I want to wind up with the questions.
Yes.
So, when the parent is not working closely with the school to implement the curriculum, you will hear these comments.
All right.
The other thing is policymakers. Of course, I am not a policymaker, but I am an educationist,
right,
who actually understands what I am doing at the national curriculum. I think I understand,
right,
and therefore I take my children to the right school to learn what I think they should learn, in order for them to come up with either a toy, right, an envelope or so. And then education and matchbox may be too far. Education and relevancy to the economic development.
Okay. Yes.
This is exactly why we are emphasizing skills.
Okay.
And we are emphasizing, because some of these people drop out even before entering P4. And if the fellow cannot even write, of course, if the fellow ends at P3,
yes,
I don't expect that fellow to go to a community speaking a different language, but the language of the area. And I think the primary education is not a priority to government. I think this probably is because we may not understand the input government is doing for primary school, and it could be a different discussion.
Our time is up, but let's hear from you, Madam Stella.
Thank you very much, Edmond. I'm still emphasizing mother tongue, and as LABE, we are promoting mother tongue education. We are complementing government efforts. We are supporting the teachers to write materials, and they are doing a good job. We are working in Gulu, we are working in Amuru and West Nile. We are supporting the parents to become the co-teachers of their own children, because parents, the children, they speak the same language. So when the child and when the parent understand what is going on in a school, in primary 1 and 2 and 3, we'll be able to follow up the education of her own child.
That's why you give them homework.
Yeah.
Which some parents might not understand. Some of them are complicated. I've seen them myself.
Yeah, but at least in P1, P2, P3, it is in mother tongue. So at least a parent will be able to support the child.
Yes.
The parent might not be able to interpret the content, but at least can play the supportive role as a parent. Say, please sit here. Let us work together. Let us count together these tones.
And when she fails, you crack the whip.
No, not really. We were not expecting teachers. We were not expecting parents to play the role of the teachers because they are not yet there.
Really?
But at least they can help that the children follow up what they are reading.
Mr. Katan, what's the position of the stick in schools these days?
Well, that is probably not mine to speak, but briefly, beating a child is not the answer.
Oh, you want to spare the road and see what happens?
No, you can help that child
in
another way and more effectively than use the stick and cause the scare.
Oh, the stick is a bad thing.
It causes scare.
You prefer to spare it and wait to
spare the ski, the road, and help the child to learn.
We have to go. Thank you very much. That's a controversial. Thank you very much, dear guests. Mr. Gabriel Obbo from the National Curriculum Development Center and NCDC. He's the head of department pre-primary and primary education there. Thank you for coming, sir. Madam Stella Tumwebaze, literacy and adult basic education director. Thank you for coming to Spectrum. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English.